What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Yummy Passage Vietnam edition. This is not really scripted. We're just going to be telling you guys about our experience in Hanoi so far. So we're going to be talking about food, people, vibes, what we like, what we don't like, what we recommend, what we don't recommend, and what surprised us. I'll put the timestamps down below so you guys can skip to whatever part of the video you guys want. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. We might make another Vietnam episode, maybe.
After we're finished with our whole trip.
Yeah. Maybe after we go to Japan, we can do like a Vietnam versus Japan comparison in 2022. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let us know in the comments. But let's kick it off with the unquestionable most important thing when you travel, and that's food. So, baby, I'm gonna give you the floor. Let's just go back and forth. You know, this is chill. She's a little nervous, but I think we're all right here.
I have my lychee.
She has her lychee milk tea.
Let's start with food. Great smoothies, great juices.
Great coffee.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally go into any cafe basically and count on the fact that you will at least get a solid smoothie. Like, it's not going to be bad. And they're not icy. They're very creamy. I think they add yogurt or something. So I'd say...
Well, that depends on what you get.
Yeah.
Because if you get, like, the coconut frap, which is, like, one of the things that... I don't know if Vietnam is most known for it or just Hanoi specifically, but I don't like it at all.
They call it a coconut coffee.
It's called a coconut coffee. I don't like it at all. I think the hot drinks, the hot coffees here, elite, guys. Like, some of the best, if not the best, from any country we've ever been to. The cold ones, maybe it's just because I don't like the cold stuff. So, I mean, I don't really order cold coffee drinks in, like, Mexico or in Europe. So, I can't really speak to how it stacks up against all the other nations. But I don't really like it here. But like she said, yeah, the smoothies are really good. I'm sipping on a banana avocado right now.
The most popular coffee drink here in Hanoi is called the egg coffee. It was invented in Hanoi. And basically what it is, it's an espresso shot. So think Vietnamese coffee vibes with the condensed milk. But imagine if you added an egg yolk into the condensed milk and then whipped it together to make it very custardy and creamy. And so then it's like espresso shot, and then you pour the egg custard on top, and it's so good. It's very creamy when you're drinking it. Like, you just get a little bit of your espresso shot with like a whole thing of egg yolk mixed with sweetened condensed milk, which it tastes like custard.
It does taste like custard. It doesn't really taste like an egg. It tastes like a shot of cream.
It's how so when you make tiramisu, you whip up egg yolks. That's like the creamy part that's in tiramisu. So it's the same idea. Doesn't taste like scrambled eggs or something.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. It's not a sunny side up egg on an espresso. So the drinks are good.
In terms of food, I would say that my expectations were higher before coming.
You don't have to be diplomatic about it. You don't like it. In general, you don't like it.
Okay, yeah.
There's some serious misconceptions.
Misconceptions.
I think you mispronounced that word. There's a lot of good and bad in Hanoi specifically. And to reiterate, we've only been to Hanoi. So if Saigon is 10 times better, I'm sorry, we can't speak to that food scene because we haven't been there. But in Hanoi, pretty much what we found is if a place has seating that's on wooden chairs and wooden tables and they have AC on the interior, usually the food's going to be pretty trash and it's going to be very expensive. We probably had the worst beef stew I've ever had in my life.
They literally, it was not beef stew. They took like water, mixed in some beef bouillon powder, and then added cornstarch to make it thick. It
was gross.
It was not beef stew.
It was like 50,000.
Beef stew ramen was or beef stew noodles. It was not beef stew noodles. Like, we're talking, I'm expecting, like Taiwanese style, some type of braised beef, anything. It was literally, they took a ramen packet. You can tell that they like took the packet seasoning as well, and then just added some beef on top. It was actually disgusting. I think
it was disgusting.
The problem here is that unless it's unless you like are comfortable just going to an extremely authentic place, which we are, but we wanted to try like some actual sit down places too. But those are catered towards tourists and they skimp on flavor, like everything.
You just shouldn't. There's actually no reason to go to a single one because
they're not good.
They're not good. It's not even like one of those things like in Greece, for example. If you eat around the Acropolis, you're going to get charged twice as much. But at least the food is still decent. It's not like that in Hanoi. You will get charged 3 times as much, and it's shit.
And
it's generally the worst food we've ever had on vacation. It's shockingly bad. We're not trying to drag all of Vietnam, but these restaurants in particular are embarrassingly bad.
And there's a lot of places too that like they're bringing in tourists, like they're like trying to get in tourists, and you know they're showing you all these pictures, and like that food, it looks good on the picture, but
hardly. I would argue the entire experience is just awful. Like you look at the picture's so low res that you can't tell that it tastes also, like cardboard.
Most places with pictures, it's just not a good sign.
Yeah, in general, yes. And most of the places that are good. So that's what you should avoid. Any place that looks like a modern restaurant are just in general, to generalize, they're not good.
For Vietnamese food.
For anything. Well, what have we had that's good here?
I know, but we can't say that the Japanese and Korean restaurants aren't good.
We haven't had the Japanese food yet.
That's what I'm saying. Vietnamese food, like, you don't want to go to an actual restaurant.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Like, we can't say that, like, I don't even know, the Italian place is bad just because it's in a real restaurant.
True. Okay, that's
fair.
So
I think this is purely Vietnamese food in Hanoi. If you're trying to go to an actual restaurant, it's going to be catered for tourists, and, like, they stop trying, and it pisses me off because I know that they would not eat that food. I'm like, I know that you know this is bad.
You're very triggered.
Yeah, I'm like,
very triggered.
How can you like just give people such a bad taste in their mouth? You're bringing them in like, oh, this is our #1 seller, and when you actually think about it, they themselves would never eat that because it's literally disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it was foul. We've eaten at like 2 or 3 of the more modernized restaurants, and it's been awful. Guys.
And the crazy part, they have amazing reviews.
Yes, let's talk about that right now. If a place is a restaurant, again, any restaurants, just don't go. Do not go. But especially if they have 5-star reviews. Whatever it is about this city, the worst restaurants by far. Now, if it has good reviews, but it's an authentic looking place where you're sitting on a little plastic stool outside, no AC, no fans, no nothing, then you can trust it. But always read the reviews every single time, because a lot of these places we've been to, the reason we go to them is because they have 1,000 5-star reviews, and we're like, oh, let's go check it out. Terrible. You can't trust it. If it looks real, it's probably good. If it looks like they're trying to get Europeans in the door, don't go. Just honestly, you're better off getting a kebab.
That was another one of our rules. Once we hit like the 3rd bad place, we're like, we will not go into a place to eat unless there's less than 1 or 2 groups of tourists. Mm-hmm. That's a major rule because
if they have an all English menu, it's like automatically disqualified.
Yeah. And if you go in and you see that it's all tourists, you know what they're catering for. And they're not because a lot of times I think tourists do get turned off by like, you know, these very strong flavors because they're not used to it. So then to us, that's what I want. Like I want the strong, flavorful things. Because if you read like the reviews on the authentic places, a lot of the tourists will say like, oh, this was like really stinky. And they're like, well, it was fermented fish something. Yeah. Like obviously. Yeah. And so like, that's why the tourists will commonly go to these places, and that's why they'll dial down the flavors, and that's just not what we want.
Well, I think it's partially that. I think it's also you just can't be intimidated in Hanoi. Like, if you have only traveled throughout the U.S. or you're a British person and you've only been to France and Spain and a couple other countries, you're going to be surprised when you get here because the best food doesn't look like it's going to be the best food.
No, half the time it's in someone's house.
It's literally in someone's house. So you have to just get over your westernized ideal of what a restaurant is and eat at these places. And you probably will struggle to communicate with people. We use Google Translate quite often. But it's going to pay off. Because one, your meal's going to be 30,000 Vietnamese. What's the currency called?
VND.
VND. Don't know. But that's about $1.25. and it's going to be incredible. Or you can go into one of these restaurant horror stories that we're trying to tell you guys about. It's going to cost you, still not that expensive, maybe like $12, $10. But it's going to be bad food. And we don't want you to have that perception of Hanoi, because there really is good food out there. There's just like, I think more, we talked about this last night. This city, more than any other place we have ever been, has more bad food than anywhere else. Like the number of bad restaurants is astronomically high. It really is. Like, I can't think of another place where, 25% of the restaurants are genuinely terrible.
And I think that's because here, like yesterday, he said it's very much like walking around a marketplace. Like, everyone's trying to bring you in their restaurant. Everyone's trying to do this. And so,
yeah,
like, there just becomes this weird, I don't know how to exactly articulate it, but I think what we're trying to say is try to eat where the locals are eating and don't eat where they're like going towards or marketing themselves towards tourists. If you see cheese sticks, French fries, hamburgers, anything that says Texas style ribs, obviously that's not Vietnamese food. And I think another thing is also, if they can pay for like a huge like restaurant with indoor seating and an indoor restaurant, the best places we're going to, it's literally like an alley with some tables.
That's what I'm saying. If it looks like a restaurant, do not go.
Yeah.
For Vietnamese food. For the Japanese food, the Korean food, we might try that tonight, so we can do an updated video about how that went. But the Vietnamese food, hell no, don't do it. Just trust us on that. Let's talk about the good stuff with the food here. Bun Cha has quickly become one of my favorite meals ever. One, it will cost you anywhere from $30,000 to, we've seen, I think, up again at like touristy places, they're gonna charge you $100,000. They're gonna charge you $120,000. So literally 4 times more for the same Bun Cha. Actually, it's probably gonna be worse that you could get if you just went to a stall. But in general, from an authentic place, it'll be between $30,000 and $60,000.
Really quick, Bun Cha is what?
Why you stop?
Oh, Bun Cha is because you're looking at me.
I can't. Okay, I'll look this way. Go ahead. Tell them what Bun Cha is.
Bun Cha is grilled, like small pieces of grilled pork, and then also like pork meatballs that are grilled, and they put them in this flat wire press, and so all the pieces are laid really flat, and then they put it directly over the fire so it like caramelizes and gets super like delicious, and it just tastes really good.
It's incredible.
And then they put it in a soup and there's just the meat in the soup and the meatball, so it's like pork meatballs, and then some like papaya, and sometimes we've gotten it with carrots, and then this delicious broth, and then you get a
very sweet broth.
Huge thing of, and it's like a tiny bit acidic, but not in a bad way. It balances very well, and then you get like a huge plate of noodles, and so you can put as much noodles in as you want, which is why it's perfect for him, because you're literally just getting a bowl of meat.
Yeah, and some places will let you pay extra for double meat. I discovered that last night. It's a glorious thing. Usually an extra $20,000 to get double meat. It's pretty sick. So that has been a wonderful surprise. We live in Houston. There's a very large Vietnamese population. For whatever reason, I've never heard of Bun Cha. Because, everybody wants bun bo hue, or they want pho, or they want a banh mi. But I've never heard anybody, including my Vietnamese friends, say, like, Bun Cha. Never once. So I didn't know what it was, but it has blown me away. And honestly, I told her we're here for like 4 more days. I could get it 3 times for the remainder of our trip, and I would have no regrets. It's that good. And honestly, I think a lot of the other food is just not as good, simply put. So let's try to be positive. Bun Cha is freaking amazing. We had cha ca, which is like grilled fish with dill.
So good.
Very, very good, but you're going to be paying like $200,000. You might be like, we're an old quarter, okay? So we like to like walk out to try to get more of an authentic experience. If you went like way far away, maybe you find it for like 120, 140. But my point is, it's going to be a lot more expensive than Bun Cha, like at least 5 times as much, because it's fish, and it's just a lot more going on. Those have been really good. Those 2 dishes specifically have been really good. The negatives, this ain't even a negative. I just have to say this. Let me put this on wax. The banh mi's in the United States are better than they are here. I know somebody's already calling me a bigot and lunging for the dislike button, but it's facts. They are not that good here. How many we had? 4, 5?
Yeah, and I was telling Jack.
It's kind of embarrassing.
I think here it's just that the standard is so much lower. Like, you can go in and they'll literally just take if I went into a restaurant in Houston and I ordered a banh mi and it was just straight up a baguette with like 3 pieces of meat and like cilantro, and then I had to order pad thai to go on it. Like, no one would go there in Houston. And so, like, in the U.S., we're forced, everyone's competing, and you're competing with other, like, street-type foods or, other sandwich-type foods. And so they're forced to make their banh mi's comparable to a burrito or comparable to some, like, a kebab or something, or, like, a gyro. Like, they have to make their food desirable, but here, it's simply just a baguette.
It's truly a snack. Like, in the U.S., it's a meal for most people. You go, you get a banh mi, that's your lunch. Here, it's more like, I'm a little hungry. Oh, let me go get this, $1 banh mi. So I understand why there are aspects of it that are not as good as in Houston or just the United States in general. But I can't help it, guys. That's what I've grown up on. American banh mi's. And the pork is different. The vegetables that they put on are different. I mean, pate is not, like, super popular in the U.S. You can get it in almost every place, but it won't, like, come with it by default like it will here. And it's not like they're trash here. It's just, I think I had this overly romantic vision of, like, I'm going to go to Vietnam, and I'm going to go to bed on a mountain of banh mi's. And just whenever I feel hungry, I'm just going to reach down under my back, pull one out, and eat it. And it just wasn't that.
No,
it just wasn't that.
And we're getting, like, the ones that are loaded. Like, we'll get the ones that come with 3 meats. But the normal ones are just, like, it's literally a baguette with some, like, they call it hamon, which is just, like, ham lunch meat. So they'll literally just have a bag. Like, for us, no, that's just, like, a ham sandwich. And you wouldn't compare that to a banh mi that you get in the U.S. Like, no one would even think that those are comparable. But that's what banh mi's are here. And I wouldn't even say the bread is, like, that much more mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes fresher, perhaps. But it's like, who goes to any country and expects the food to be worse? You know what I mean? Like, we were just in Korea. Everything with the exception of Korean fried chicken, we found to be far superior in Korea. But with the banh mi, and especially since it's such a staple, like, imagine finding out, like, the best ramen is actually in Dallas, Texas, not in Tokyo or Kyoto. You just be like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm coming to Japan because I expect to have ramen that literally transports me into the next life. It's so good. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe that's our fault. Maybe the expectations were too high, but I've been pretty disappointed so far. I'm going to keep eating them just because maybe I keep going to bad places.
But we are going to the places that, like they're not even, we've gone to, like, some really popular, like, ones that have lots of reviews, and then we've also gone to some that are just popular with locals. They both suck.
Yeah.
They don't suck. They're just, I'm like, to me it's just like a sandwich.
It's like brutally not even, like, Subway quality. Like, I know we're going to get hate for this, and that's fine, but genuinely, I'd rather pay an extra $1 for, like, a Subway 6-inch with cheese and, like, chicken teriyaki than some of the banh mi's here.
There's just no flavor on the banh mi.
There's no flavor at all, and
it's like
some
a
of the places,
substance
some places,
snack.
not even a sauce to put on it. It's just like, here you go, and you just, like, walk down the street and munch on it, which for some people that's going to work, but again, being exposed to Vietnamese American banh mi's, they're just better. They're just straight up better. In every sense of the word. If you have been to Hanoi, if you have been to Vietnam or Hanoi specifically, let us know what you guys thought of the food scene down below in the comments. I'm really curious if maybe we're just not getting it, or if this is something that a lot of people actually feel. They just don't say it. Maybe there's just not a lot of voices out there saying it. So I'm genuinely curious. Maybe we just did it all wrong. I don't know. But let's move on to the people. What do you think about the people here in Vietnam?
Very friendly. For the most part, I would say on average they're very, very friendly, very helpful, like just welcoming faces all the time. Like when you walk into a restaurant, they're like wanting to interact with you, which isn't the case for some countries. I will say people have no shame in staring at some of a female's assets, and it can be
assets. Really? Yes, assets. I guess I don't even know if they have to be nice. I mean, yours are, but I feel like you're just gonna get stared at if you're a female, straight up. Like
it doesn't matter if he's standing next to me, if he literally has his arm around me.
Does not. Literally, we've seen people like on dates with their wives, and they're like staring at her, and I'm staring at the husband like, damn, dude, your wife is right there, bro. Have some shame. But it's
not like they're looking at my eyes either. They're just like,
that's not an asset.
Okay. Yeah.
And no guys care about that. You know what they care about, especially if you're a dude watching. But that's how it is. It's pretty bad. Like we were in Korea before this. Korea was bad too. Like it was definitely bad. But
here it's just like another level of no shame. I could be walking from like the entire block, and their eyes don't leave my body once.
No, like in Korea, they'll like look, but if you make eye contact, they'll like get nervous and they'll look away. Here, they'll literally look, see her, tap their buddy on the shoulder, go like this, and then 7 dudes in a circle drinking beer outside will all turn around and just stare as we walk by. Like I've never seen anything like it, guys. It's crazy. And they're not like, they don't say anything, but it is a little like uncomfortable. I would say.
I will say though, when I walk around by myself, they do try to like get my attention sometimes. I just completely ignore them, like pretend that I don't even hear them. That's why I also have been walking around with my AirPods and like I don't hear you.
Yeah. So if you're a female, just be ready for that. It's definitely a thing.
It's not dangerous. Like I haven't felt endangered at all. It's really not like oh my goodness, I'm gonna get. It's not like that. It's just people have no shame in staring. Yeah. Like it's not that it's dangerous. Like I really don't want people to think that, like even walking around by myself, I don't feel endangered. I just feel like I'm drawing unwanted attention.
I would say in general it's very safe. It feels very safe here.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because the people are so nice. Like again, just came from Korea. The Vietnamese are far warmer to Americans at least than the Koreans are. The Koreans like They might help you if you ask for it, but a lot of the time they're just very shy. They kind of keep to themselves. They seem like a lot of introverts for the most part. The Vietnamese, English is a lot more spoken, at least in the old quarter and kind of nearby areas as well. They're just a lot more high energy, like from the jump. And maybe it's also because nobody's masked up here. So like in Korea, it's like easier to hide because you have a mask on. Nobody cares about COVID in Vietnam, from what we can tell.
We haven't worn a mask once.
I haven't worn a mask once. We brought them everywhere. No one even, the shopkeepers don't wear it, so we're like, well, I'm not going to wear it then. It's just, the people are very happy-go-lucky, you know? Like, one guy, Eiley was ordering a banh mi, and I had a bagel from another restaurant, and so to be polite, I was going to step outside and eat it on the street, because, you know, that's just rude to go into somebody else's restaurant and eat someone else's food, you know, not even buy something from there. And the guy saw me in the street, and he was like, why don't you go back inside and eat it? And I was like, is that okay? Like, I don't want to be rude. And he was like, no, man, of course. Like, go sit down. And I was like, oh, thanks. You know, like, a lot of people here are very, very nice and kind of helpful like that, I would say. It is very salesy. It is very salesy.
Which that's very, the first day we got here, so many more tourists than I was expecting. Like, way more tourists than I was expecting. I would say that I was expecting maybe 5% of people. It's more like 30% of people are tourists. And so because of that, because there's just a lot of tourists everywhere, almost every single street, you can't walk at least to like a couple blocks with people trying to sell you stuff or like trying to pull you into the restaurant. Like he said, it was just very much like, it feels like at least the old quarter is just one giant market where people are trying to get your attention.
It is. It's literally the people in the mall that are like selling perfumes at one of the stands or acne medicine, and they just hound you down. That's what it is. It can be very tiring at times. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I try to be very polite about it because I know these people have families and they're just trying to provide for them, and nobody's trying to be malicious, and nobody is malicious. Nobody's like, hey, douchebag, come buy this shirt. But it is also like, you know, it's like I can't walk 5 feet without a guy trying to sell me like a Vietnam t-shirt. And it's, or a guy like, hey, do you want to ride on my motorcycle? And I'm like, no, I don't. Thank you, though. And they're like, oh, sure, cheap. And I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay, thanks. You know, it's just, this is how it is. And I don't know if every tourist would experience this. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you were, like, Vietnamese American or something, you came here and they, like, couldn't really tell if you were a local or not. Maybe they wouldn't say anything to you. But because we're not Vietnamese, then, yeah, we get hit with every single thing.
We're not even, like, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes. I've seen that, and I feel like they get even more harassment because...
It's gotta be crazy, yeah.
Like, I think stereotypically they think that people that look more like, you know, straight white, for lack of a better term, are going to spend more money. And so they definitely are... It's not harassing, really. It's just...
No, it's pestering.
Yeah.
And it's very small, and it's not like it's going to ruin your vacation. But...
When it happens every single time you walk out the house, it's like...
Bro, if you can't say no, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle. And honestly, just don't go to Southeast Asia in general. Just stay away, because you're going to get hounded to death. That would be my advice. Let's go on to the vibes. I think the vibes are pretty chill. It's really chill here. I do like it a lot. Like, it just makes me want to go to one of the nice cafes here, get an egg coffee or Vietnamese coffee, and just veg out for 5 hours. That's actually exactly what I'm going to do after we finish recording this. Because it's just, I don't know, like, people don't seem that stressed compared to, like, especially the United States. It's very nice. It's a very nice change of mood, I would say.
Yeah.
You agree?
And I think it seems...
You hate the vibes. Go ahead. You can say
Oh, no. I would say it seems like at night, though, I would say that at night my only issue is it feels like the only thing to do, at least during the week at nighttime, it feels like the only thing to do are just extremely touristy. Like, and I don't really like that. So, and there are a bunch of weekend night markets and, like, weekend night things that I haven't seen yet, so I could change my mind. But at night, unless you're trying to go to a bar with all white people or go to a restaurant that serves, like, hamburgers and fries, you can't really find anything to do or eat past, like, 10 p.m.
Yeah, so again, gonna make another comparison to Korea. In Korean society, it's very much open late in the morning, stay open late. Here, it's like open when the sun comes up, and by damn near 9 p.m., 80% of Hanoi is closed. It's crazy. I'm talking shops and restaurants. And a lot of the places that do stay open, like she said, they might be that more restaurant type establishment, more Western style stuff, or they're going to be bars. And maybe a few cafes will stay open until 10. But overall, like if you want Bun Cha, or you want Ka Cha, or some Chaka, or something like that for dinner, you really need to go in search of that meal by like 7:30. Mm-hmm. Because if you go looking for stuff at 10:30, 11 o'clock, like the first night we were here, God willing, you find a kebab shop. Even those don't even stay open that late. Like, everybody knows kebab shops stay open until 3 a.m. It has to be, like, in their contract or something to get an operating license, but not here. It's pretty tough, especially if you're only here for, like, 3 days and you're going to be in the old quarter.
And you're not here on the weekend.
You have to go to this one street, which I forgot what it's called, where all the touristy parts are.
The Tien on Beer Street. It's literally every single shop, there's people like, oh, like
they will touch you.
Yeah, I hate
It's
being
so
touched.
annoying. Like, but you don't have a choice. Or God, you might find one. There was like one banh mi's place last night.
Yeah.
That was open, and
It's
that was
just
at like
random though, and it's not like
10:30.
you can search it up on Google Maps because
No.
every single listing is wrong.
No,
So you just have to walk around until you happen to stumble on something.
I agree. So we're gonna try to either go like clubbing probably tonight or tomorrow. So maybe we can do a follow-up video about that. So can't say that the nightlife is trash. Can't say it's good. Haven't experienced it. But just the vibes in general and like how the speed of life is here, I find it very attractive to myself, you know. And I do wish that we could stay longer. Maybe like I could see myself honestly here for probably 3 weeks. But that's just because I like to chill out. If you're the type of person where you want to do, I mean, she's been bored since the first day because she can't sit down for more than 5 minutes. If you want to go to a city where it's like, oh my God, there's 90 attractions, Hanoi is definitely not it. Like, there's
like
very little to see.
Like top 3 attractions are some temples and stuff, and then the fourth one would be, or actually, most people's first attraction here isn't actually Hanoi. It's like an hour and a half away at the beach. So if you're trying to go to the beach anyways, I don't even know why you would come
Yeah,
here,
you shouldn't
period.
come to Hanoi.
But people are like, oh, the highlight of my Hanoi trip was going to Halong Bay. And I'm like, then why did you go to Hanoi?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How close can you stay to Halong Bay?
I think you can stay there.
Huh. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, I don't know why you would come to Hanoi. Hanoi, to me, I would recommend it to anybody who literally just wants to relax. But, like, not beachside relaxing, like city relaxing. I would do that here. And as long as you avoid that one street, Tianan, or whatever it's called, where the worst of the harassing actually happens, I think you'll have a good time. I think you'll have a really good time. If, like I said, you're expecting an Athens where there's just historical monuments all over the place, you're going to be very disappointed. You're going to be very disappointed. But yeah, if you want something a little more low-key, I feel like Hanoi would be a good destination for people. Best thing about Vietnam, what you think? I'm just going to say the coffee straight up is incredible. If you're a caffeine addict.
It's very strong. It's
so
super strong.
So
I'm
good.
like, the first 2 days, I was like, first of all, my eyes hurt and I have a headache. I'm like, because I don't drink coffee, so it was very, very like, whoa. But I feel like it is very strong. And like, you just drink a little espresso shot and you're like on the floor.
Haven't had a bad cup of coffee here yet. It's been very, very good. And we're talking, you know, sometimes like $1 to the most expensive at the really bougie places. You'll pay $2.50 for like an egg coffee, like $70K, something like that. We just don't go to those places. Just go to the places that sell it for $40. That's $1.75, something like that, $1.85. It's really, really good. Like, absolutely elite, without a doubt, for me.
I would say the best thing for me is just, it's very like ease of lifestyle. Like, there's really nothing holding you back from much. Like, it's very easy to find like a nice-ish place to shop. It's very easy to find like a nice coffee shop with like nice music. Like, I love Frank Sinatra, Louis Armstrong type music, and we've been to multiple, and I can't even think of a single coffee shop in Houston that like has those vibes.
No.
And it's so easy just to find, you know, places that, there's so many massage places too, and they actually look like, they're not sketchy, like they just look nice, and they're very affordable, like $150, which is like $6.
Yeah, that's like literally $6.
Yeah, it's just very, and of course that's because we're using our like privilege of having the US dollar power, but yeah, as a visitor, I would say it's just very ease of lifestyle.
Yeah, I think you could add shopping in general as a massive positive for Hanoi. Like, again, going back to Korea, I was very disappointed with the shopping in Korea. I thought it largely sucked. We'll do a separate video about why I thought that was, but here, there's so many things in such a concentrated area. You'd be hard pressed to visit Hanoi for a week and leave without buying at least one thing.
Yeah.
Because it looks good, it fits good, and it's very affordable. So, and it's all over the place, and they're going to try to get you to buy it anyway, so you might as well cave at least once to get some, like, new pair of sunglasses or something. But the shopping is definitely good here.
I would say they have, like, a huge range of stuff. Like, I think a lot of times my struggle is that the style is all very similar in terms of what they offer. Like, maybe stores offer slightly varying things, but here, you know, you can find nice workout clothes. You can find nice, like, business type clothes. You can find, like, nice casual clothes that are actually, like, look like they actually look good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree with him.
What do you think are the worst things?
The worst thing is, like, the standard of food is literally on the floor. Like, I've been to, like, several Asian countries now, and I'm used to, I feel like one of the best parts about being in an Asian country is no matter what restaurant you go into, like, I can count that it'll be good. At least maybe not, it won't, like, blow my socks off, but it'll be good. Like, the standard in most Asian countries, I've found it is just good. Here, it's like, I hate that 2 days ago, I literally spent 3 hours just trying to find a place that I could go eat some beef. Like, that looked
this is true.
Straight edible. Like, I'm like, it should not be that hard to find a place that is average. Like, I wasn't even trying to find a good place, just average. Like, I think because
Well, can I jump in there? I don't think there is average. I think it's either you find good food or it's embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
Which is very rare, I would say. Like, even in Houston, a lot of the restaurants are straight mid. Like, they're bang average. They don't suck, though. Like, you don't leave like, wow, that was hardly edible. That happens a lot in Hanoi. That happens a lot. And on the flip side, you go to a Bun Cha place that's selling it for $40K with some of the best crab egg roll, spring roll that I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, how is this place not flooded with people? It's so good. But then that terrible ass Western restaurant right there has a wait list.
It's not a Western restaurant. It's a, like, Vietnamese restaurant.
Well, sometimes, yeah. Okay. I mean, you will see. There's a lot of Italian around, weirdly. Italian restaurants that we've seen. Not too many American spots, I would say. Except for that one diner I sent you where, like for example, I think at the diner that I sent her, the chicken tenders were $200,000. Which is about $10. $8. But again, why would you do that when you could get, like, an entire plate of meat from somebody else for $40K? It just doesn't make any sense. But again, you have to be comfortable going to a non-traditional restaurant. A non-traditional Western restaurant, I should say.
Yeah, because the good restaurants here, it to you will not, or to most people, it will not look like a restaurant. It's a small little, like, tent. Even sometimes they don't even have a tent. Sometimes it's literally on the sidewalk. They have a sign. It's like a grandma just cooking in, like, a pot, and that is the place. But that food is
so good.
10 times better than any place that you go and sit at an actual table. Yeah. And it's mind-blowing because I'm like, where is the discrepancy?
But when in doubt, just trust the locals.
Yeah.
I really haven't been to another city like this. Maybe I want to say Istanbul, like right in, like, the western quarter or whatever they call it across the bridge. Maybe that was the closest thing I've ever experienced to, like, wow, these are actually bad restaurants. But it's not like the volume is here. It's crazy. It's honestly crazy. That's
it's
definitely
offensive. Like, I was very, very triggered by it because I was like, I feel bad for people.
She went off for like an hour about it.
I feel bad for people that are coming here, and then, you know, like, we're comfortable enough to, like, go try some street food because we can tell what's gonna give you food poisoning and what might not. Versus people that this is their first time in a not first world country, they're gonna be like, I'm not eating that. I'm gonna get food poisoning, and then they're going to go to a place that looks like an actual restaurant because that's what they're used to. And it's just like the people cooking and the people serving you, I'm like, you were like just doing these people, just doing the tourists a disservice, because now they're going to have a bad impression of what Vietnamese food is because you decided you can't serve them real food. Like, it's just rude to me. It's very, I take great offense to it.
I just started and stop it.
Oh, why?
It's a 21-minute limit.
Oh.
No, and there has to be a reason for that. Like, I don't know if it's the fact that maybe the most traditional of Vietnamese dishes, maybe they're just not profitable enough for a more Western style restaurant to be successful. I don't know what the reason is, but like she said, it's gonna affect how you see Vietnam and Vietnamese food. I mean, listen to us. It's happened so many times now that like we're starting to get annoyed. We're starting to get pissed off because I'm like, I've never had so much bad food, but the good food is right next door. You just have to be willing to go there. Otherwise, you're gonna leave Hanoi and you're gonna say, wow, I am never going back. And we think that would be, a tragedy, because it is really cool here. The people are very nice. Some very good food. It's very just naturally pretty here. But yeah, the food, I mean, that's the number one reason a lot of people travel. And so if you get stuck up at the wrong places here, you're going to have a bad time.
And there's also several places that, like, you will see tons of locals eating there, and the prices will be there, and then you sit down, and they will, and, you'll see, if you start to look at reviews and stuff at places, once you read them, there's like scam. But basically, there's several places around the city that there's like a bunch of like guys standing around trying to get you to sit down, and then because you see a bunch of locals there, people will go to sit down, and it's 30,000 for locals, but then they will charge any tourist 250,000 for the exact same dish, and they won't let you leave until you have paid that 250,000. And it's literal scamming. It's like literal scamming.
Yeah, well, I think we could put that under the umbrella of just scamming is a lot more common here. And anytime you have more of like a barter system, the potential to be scammed is there. If everything's written on the wall, you can't be scammed because you have an understanding of how much the transaction is going to cost you. So if you go to a place like we did the first day, we got charged $250,000 for just some small ass pieces of duck or something. Like, it was just overcooked duck meat. But if you looked,
like, the sign literally said 30,000 like on the other side. But it doesn't specify.
I didn't even know that until right now. It said 30,000 on the side.
But it doesn't specify for what. And so then when I was reading the reviews, it says like they charge the locals 30,000. And they put 30,000 there to like bring people in. But then they're like, oh no, it's 250. Like, they don't even charge. First of all, the guy, like the waiter that took our order, he like wouldn't even tell us the total. He like went back to ask his boss how much to charge us, and that should also be another.
That was sort of our first food experience. Yeah. The very first thing we did.
And that's
so
what
we started off on the wrong foot.
Because I'm like, you were literally scamming people. You're giving them food that you wouldn't eat because it was like scrap meat. Like, imagine if you're like.
Well, we can talk about specifics more later.
Okay.
The general is scamming is here. You're going to experience scamming more than you would in Korea. Like, there really isn't scamming in Korea except maybe cab drivers. But who takes a cab anymore anyways, guys? I mean, like, the public transport is so good, you don't need to get on a cab anyway. So it's so avoidable. Here, even these really authentic places we're telling you all about, they don't have a menu with prices on it. So you have to ask, how much is it? And they tell you that the Bun Cha is 350,000. An alarm bell should go off in your head. Wait a minute, it's usually 40,000. That's not right. And sometimes you can even get them down like on the spot. It just depends. And if they don't budge, walk out. Just leave. And they might even chase you and be like, oh, sorry, 30,000. And be like, bro, you said 300,000 20 seconds ago. Happens all the time. So just be aware of that. And should we say, I don't know if I want to say the heat is the worst thing. Because it's not like bad heat. It's definitely not like in my top 5 least favorite things about Hanoi. But it is very hot. You're going to be sweating like crazy here. I mean, honestly, we could leave it like that. That's really all there is to say.
I would say that it's just your typical Southeast Asian humid city. Like,
with bugs.
Yeah.
For her. I don't get bit by mosquitoes, but if you have O-type blood, it's going to be rough out here. But any pharmacy has bug spray, so. And it was pretty cheap, right? It was like $6.
Yeah.
$7 a bottle. Yeah. That was good. Let's go one thing each that surprised you about Hanoi. What surprised you?
I think how many, like, hot noodle soups people eat. I'm like, it is so, it's already so hot here, and y'all are slurping down. Like, definitely the most common foods around are, like, pho and just lots of rice noodle dishes, but it's a hot noodle dish. I'm like, it is almost 100 degrees, and it's already October.
Yeah.
So imagine, like, people in July eating just lots of hot noodles.
Bun Cha,
so,
yeah.
And I think what that just surprises me because obviously I know that pho and, like, noodle soups and those types of things are very popular. I just didn't think that. I thought that, like, that's what we knew because that's what they serve. That's what's most popular for Vietnamese food in the U.S. And I was like, oh, maybe they'll have some other more popular noodle dishes because it's hot outside, but they don't. It is very still hot noodle dish heavy.
Yeah, it's not like Korea where they got the cold noodle, then they got the hot noodle. It's all hot here, for as far as we can tell.
No, we had the noodle salad the first day, or the second day.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We did have, okay, they have one thing that's cold. Good job, Vietnam. Excellent work. I would say, quick fire, I could probably go a couple. I'm surprised how good the Wi-Fi is here. In general, it's actually very good, especially at cafes. Very, very good. Pretty close to how it is in Korea. I would say better than 80% of the coffee shops in Houston. Like, they have the most trash Wi-Fi in Houston coffee shops, and here it's really good. So that was a pleasant surprise. A lot of guys in the gym and girls work out barefoot. That's not good or bad, just something I wasn't expecting to see. Seems like it's completely optional. I keep my shoes on, but I thought that was kind of cool. Though you might be grossed out that, like, people's sweaty toes are exposed, like, to the dumbbells that you're using, but I don't care at all. But again, just don't be squeamish like that. What else surprised me about Vietnam? I think how much English is spoken surprised me.
Oh, one thing surprised me about Hanoi, I didn't expect it to be this touristy.
That's a great one.
I had no idea.
That's a great one.
I really did not expect it to be, like, tourist. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be touristy whatsoever. I
feel like we picked it ignorantly because we thought it would not be touristy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's like, oh, go to Da Nang or Saigon. So we're like, okay, yeah, we could have gone to those places, but it would have been more expensive. So we're like, you know what? We're tired after Korea. Let's just go to Hanoi. And, yeah, damn near 30% foreigners outside.
You cannot walk down the street without seeing at least 2 white people.
They got, like, the Ritz-Carlton, like, a mile away. It's crazy. I just wasn't expecting that. I don't know. I thought it was going to be a lot more, quieter and more...
Just local people having
that's great.
Having fun, but it's almost every single street. There's at least 2 or 3. Not only are there you can't walk down the street without seeing tourists, but also every single street there's at least something directed at tourists.
Yeah, like an artesian donut shop, which yes, we did eat there, and yes, it was mid. It was mid, and it's mostly Europeans. You're gonna hear a lot of Italian being spoken, a lot of British accent. Good decent amount of Aussies here as well. Haven't heard too many Americans. Arabic, we've heard some Arabic around. A lot of Indian travelers.
A lot of Indian travelers, yeah.
But not that many Americans. Maybe like a few. The couple guys that I've spoken to, they've all been British. So yeah, if you think like, oh, I'm gonna go here and they're gonna never have seen a Westerner before, you're just dead wrong, bro. They see them every day, all day, every day. They're probably play basketball with them. Like, it's very common. It's very common. So I think,
and we're not even in, like, the expos. We're not even in the expat area. We're in like the French Quarter.
I guess we are in the area that everybody's like, you should stay here. And to be fair, you probably should stay here, especially if you're only here for 3 days. I cannot imagine why you would stay anywhere else.
Here's the only place with like concentrated restaurants and shopping. Everywhere else, you have to walk at least 4 or 5 blocks to get anywhere, even if you just want like a cup of coffee.
Yeah, like we haven't gotten in a car since we got here because there's no need to. But if you were like maybe closer to where like Ho Chi Minh's monument is, maybe you would have to get on like rent a scooter or something every once in a while, just because you'd be like a mile and a half from most of the action.
Yeah, it's just far to walk on a regular basis.
Yeah. But I think we'll end it there, guys. We hope you enjoyed this little podcast about Hanoi. We might make a second one in the future if there's any specific topics you guys want us to cover more, or any questions you have about what we did, what we'd recommend, restaurants we'd definitely blacklist and never go there. Let us know in the comments. You can also follow us on social media. I will put all of our social links down below in the description of this video, and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more. We appreciate you guys for watching or listening on streaming platforms, and we'll see you on the next one.